So the movement we're going to be talking about right now is the hinge. And the most important thing when starting the hinge is aligning our rib cage and the pelvis on top of one another. So if we're thinking about the rib cage as a bowl and the pelvis as a bowl, we want those two bowls to be facing one another. Meaning that if I'm standing here, so I have my rib cage on top and the pelvis on the bottom, I'm not rounded, so my bowls are not collapsed together like this, and I'm not very flared where my bowls are spilling outward. So I'm aligning them on top of one another, and that creates a really good base for my core. Now I'm going to be moving from my hips while keeping those two bowls facing one another. So the hinge looks like this. I can put my arms out if I want. So we don't want to move from the low back. I really don't want to round through my back as I'm doing the hinge. And I also don't want to flare through my back. This looks a little bit better, right? Where my hips are out like this. Sort of looks like I'm doing the right thing, but what I'm actually doing is pulling or spilling my pelvis forward, and that creates pinching in the low back, whether at the moment or after a while. So aligning those two bowls on top of one another, pushing the hips back, and moving from the hip joint while keeping that back straight. I want to make sure that I'm actually shifting back. I'm not just moving forward from those hips like this. This again kind of looks right, but I'm not actually using my hamstrings and my glutes. So here I'm actually loading the hamstrings and the glutes, and they're able to work better. Another thing to watch out for is the feet, making sure that my feet are actually flat on the ground, the toes are not lifting, they're not collapsing inward. If they're collapsing inward, that means my knees and my hips are also collapsing inward. So really making sure that we're moving through that hip joint with a straight back. Now there I was kind of looking up. I want to make sure that my head is in line with the rest of my spine as well. So give this exercise a try.